So let me ask you this. Have you got God a Christmas present? It sounds kind of weird in some ways, doesn't it? Like we're used to buying presents for, parents, siblings, coworkers, things like that. But it's not until recently that I've even considered the idea of getting a Christmas present for God. It's just, it's been kind of new to me. And I think that's partly a reflection of how I came into ministry. Because for me, ministry wasn't about any great love of God. I didn't come in literally singing the praises of God like my classmates were. I came into spirituality because, well, surprise, surprise, it turns out that living your life according to what the scriptures say actually leads to a happier, better life. That may be common sense to you, but it certainly wasn't common sense to me. And when I experienced that, I was like, oh, wow, this is so great. Other people would like to have this too. So I went into ministry thinking I will share this around. And so that's what I'm doing here. Hopefully you're getting something out of this. But it was through going to theological school that I started to understand God differently, because for my life up to that point, it was always, kind of God the king, the guy who rules over everything. And, he has my best interests at heart, but I never really felt deeply connected to him. It was kind of, one of these deals where, well, okay, if you're in a pinch, break the glass in case of emergency and, rub the genie out of the lamp kind of thing, and maybe God will appear and do you right. I'd heard stories of that where God had appeared in different people's lives at important points, and I used it in the same way, But I didn't really have this idea that God was constantly with me, constantly looking out for me, and was kind of like a best friend. But that's what theological school changed for me, is in studying the scriptures, it kind of got me to realize that, he's always there. And the little things that happened while he was there mitigating it. When I was being a moron in high school, he was helping me through it. When I was doing stupid things, he was trying to make them turn out as best as they possibly could. And it wasn't me who was doing it. I got to a point where I was looking at my life and realizing, man, I've got a good job, I've got a good wife, I've got a kid, I've got I'm not rich, but I'm not broke, I've got stuff. And now here I am living in Australia, and it's like, my life's pretty doggone good. I didn't plan any of this out. I certainly had no intentions of going into ministry, but wow, look at my life now. It's pretty doggone cool. So it was through all this stuff I started realizing, God isn't just that distant king type ruler who's above me and lording over every decision, but he is a best friend. He is the person who's always there for me. He is kind of like a spouse or a brother or someone who's just right there. So it got me to the point of actually, wanting to give God a Christmas present. But what do you give God for Christmas, right? It's reminds me of the old Star Trek movie where Captain Kirk encounters this being who claims to be God, and the being says, I need the starship, and Kirk, wisely says, excuse me, what does God need a starship for? If you're almighty, you don't need a starship. And likewise, does God need a Christmas present? Well, no, not really. But yet we have the story in Scripture of the wise men, and what do they show up with but bearing gifts? Now, for a long time, I thought this was just a very practical thing, right? Mary and Joseph have to escape with Jesus off to Egypt, so these gifts were probably basically money, some sort of way to barter or buy their way through the next couple of years while they're running from Herod. But if you actually go online and search out what's the meaning of these gifts, there are people out there who have some ideas, and some of them are crazy. Like one person thinks that the gifts were given for medicinal purposes, but maybe, I don't know. But other people were saying that the three gifts represent the three stages of Jesus' life, or the three aspects of his life. The gold's about his kingship, the frankincense about the priestly role he serves, and the myrrh about the resurrection, because they use myrrh on dead bodies to make them not smell so bad, or to cover up the bad smell. But that really isn't very helpful to me, right? It's not really helpful for me for getting God a Christmas present. But if you turn to 18th century philosopher, scientist, and theologian Emanuel Swedenborg, he gives us a bit of a different take on it. He says, well, actually, the deeper level of meaning to these gifts is that, well, the myrrh is about a gift to God because you're living a certain kind of life. He calls it like a natural plane of existence where basically you're just doing the right thing. You're just kind of a Ten Commandments level of life. You know, you're not murdering people, you're not committing adultery, you're not stealing, you're not lying. You know, it's just about basically not being a bad person. And if you do those things, well, your gift to God is the life that you're leading. And now, of course, you can take this to the next level. You could be a frankincense kind of person. And a frankincense kind of person, I think, is where I've lived the last half of my life, where I've kind of graduated up a little bit, and I actually want well for other people. I wish to see them succeed. I'm not envious of them. I'm pretty happy to help out other people along the way. And if you do that, your gift to God at Christmas time is, again, it's your life. This is what you are giving back. And I've been pretty content with that point of view until I, like I say, gone through theological school and realized all the different ways in which God is interacting in my life. And He always taught me to be patient with other people and to, you know, when we disagree, that, well, guess what? You know what? It's okay to disagree with people. They're seeing the things from their point of view, not because they're irrational and stupid, but because they've actually had other experiences in life. And having this kind of insights has just made me really peaceful, and I feel really blessed because my life is peaceful. And so I want to give back to God now. And that's where Swedenborg is saying, well, you know what? The gold level, if you will, is it's about having the love of God as your central thing. And it always sounded kind of airy-fairy to me that, you know, you're just some Bible-thumping do-gooder that always has a smile on their face like the guy on The Simpsons, the Ned Flanders, right? Everything is great. But that always felt disingenuous to me. But I'm actually in a place in life now where I actually am grateful to God. I'm thankful for God for all the things that He's done in my life. And it's really been a great place to be. And I'm learning that as I do things in life, not because I'm afraid of being punished, or I'm doing the right things in life, not because I'm afraid of my losing reputation. I'm doing these things because I think, well, why would I do something terrible to this other person? Because God's been so good to me. I wouldn't do this thing against God. And I feel like when you're in that place of life, well, guess what? That's the greatest Christmas gift you could ever give to the Creator, is to say, what? You're actually my friend. I'm voluntarily being your friend. I want to be your buddy in a way, which kind of may sound a bit sacrilegious to kind of equate yourself to that, and I get it, but I hope you understand where I'm coming from, that the idea is that, you know what, I see God as a friend, and I think that is the actual Christmas gift that He wants, that relationship with us. So maybe you didn't buy God a gift, and that's quite all right, because God doesn't need your gold, frankincense, myrrh, or your starship. But if you've been living a life to one of these levels, you've been giving God the gifts that He's actually wanted, and the gifts that He says that He would like in the Scripture itself. So I hope that helps. I hope you enjoyed that, but that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All the best to you. God bless, and have a Merry Christmas.